is Mr. Molefe Fani. We see that Mr. Valley requested General Khan to modify the tender specifications to see if he could, through his contacts, assist in the modification of tender specs. We saw that earlier on in the chats. Meaning he sees General Khan as somebody who could maybe assist him on that, whatever may have come of it or not. We see that General Khan receives information during the procurement process, before it's awarded, while it's a live procurement process, receives information and passes it on to Mr. Valley. We see Mr. Valley sharing information as well with General Khan on issues of the purchase orders and the buyouts and requesting assistance from General Khan. We see that that Mr. Valley talks about him and General Khan stashing the money, getting a big slice, making sure it doesn't enter the system. And we see that General Khan is the one who's the first person to inform Mr. Valley when the tender is awarded. So, and then what we see is after the award and after the recommendation is made, there's continued engagement between the two on making the contract work. That is all apparent from the evidence, and all of those, as I mentioned on Friday, are part of this pattern on the tenders.
Ms. Hassan, in this notice of motion that is shown on the screen, we see the citation in the end of it. We don't see the relief that is sought. And I would have thought that's the important part you want to show us.
Well, it's not in the chats, Commissioner Beloy, okay. But we're trying to get the full documentation in relation to that.
Okay, thank you.
Chair, Commissioners, if I may briefly interject. It's a very unique proceeding, this, because in as much as we're before the Commission, we're also before a number of people who have an interest in the matter by way of social media. I mentioned to Ms. Hassan on Friday, if I might have an opportunity to clarify for purposes of the audience, the greater audience. My name is Mohammed Valley. I'm not Ismail Valley. And unfortunately, there's an element of our society who believes that I'm Ismail Valley. I'm not. I'm not trying to impute any guilt or anything. It's just by way of clarification. And then there's another segment of society who believes that I may be related to him. I'm not. I'm just an attorney who shares a surname with Mr. Valley. For the record, thank you, Chair, Commissioners. I appreciate it.
No, thank you. All of us here know the true position. But I must say, it did cross my mind that some people might think exactly the way you've explained. But thank you for again placing it on record, Mr. Valley.
Thank you. Indebted as always.
Thank you.
I see now, Mr. Valley, that I should have gone with my instinct to ask you the question earlier.
So, Commissioners, I'm going to leave that topic and turn to a new chapter, and it shouldn't take us too long. It's a small section, and it deals with a person named, the Commission is very familiar with this person, Ms. Imogen Mashazi. And for that, the best place to start is probably page 6670.
666?
6670, Commissioner Beloy. I mean, we'll need to flight it for you if it's not there. And the reason it's not in your bundle is actually, as I'm about to show you, the images are blurred. We believe that these are passport screenshots of passports of several individuals who traveled on a private charter to the UK. But when screenshots are deleted from a device, it appears in this manner, just blurred. So we won't be able to get the actual unblurred versions of this. But it's where this conversation begins on this topic. So these are passport pictures, but we can't see the detail of it. At the bottom, and how we know this is from the attachments that follow. And this is the chat that is between Mr. Mosaid and General Khan. And you'll see that there are from 6675 to 6676, there are several attachments. And those are what's called an entry form. And those forms are in your bundle marked Annex 3. It's immigration clearance to enter the UK, and it's for an individual named one Mr. Maleka, and it lists as a UK residential address, Corinthia Hotel, London, and it's for travel. If you look at the block in the middle of the page on the right-hand side, travel on the 29th of July 2022 to 31 July 2022. So for 2 days, it was a weekend. And if you turn over to page 24, it's the second immigration clearance form, and that's for Ms. Seletswane. Same period of travel and the same hotel in London. Pardon me?
The names are female names, so
Yes.
it's Miss. I think you said Miss there.
No, Ms. Seletswane. And on page 25 is the third immigration form. It's for a Mr. Bonginkosi Mashazi, and same dates of travel, and the address is the same address, Corinthia Hotel, London. And then the fourth on page 26 is the immigration clearance form for Ms. Imogen, for Ms. Maboikanyo, Imogen Mashazi. Same dates of travel and the same residential address in the UK, the Corinthia Hotel, London. And then what you see on the page 27 is the certificate for a copy of the authority, the executive charter certificate, the authority from the Civil Aviation Authority. It's a license, basically, to execute aviation that will be operating that flight. That's on page 27. What is not in the chats, but which we obtained separate, is a payment from Onyx Aviation, not a payment, pardon me, an invoice from Onyx Aviation to a company called Zig Revenue Management. And that, Commissioners, I'm going to have to ask you to look at your answering affidavit file, because we attached it to the answering affidavit at page 320.
The page?
320. It's TN 27. And you'll see it's an invoice by Onyx Aviation that is issued to ZIG Revenue Management in the amount of 3.35 million. But also what's important from this document is what is the description on the invoice, and it refers to a charter fee, and the dates of travel are 28 July 2022 to 31 July 2022. And the routing is there, Lanseria via Accra to Farnborough, and the return Farnborough, Accra, Lanseria. And Farnborough would be Farnborough Airport. And we point out in the answering affidavit, and this is on oath by our investigator, Mr. Nxumalo, that ZIG Revenue Management, which is a business owned by Mr. Z businessman, paid Mr. Sayed's paid this company, Onyx Aviation. Mr. Sayed is not a director of Onyx Aviation, but he's associated with it. He's associated with people who are directors of Onyx Aviation. And Mr. Nxumalo paid Onyx Aviation to fly Ms. Mashazi, her husband, and her friends to London for a weekend in July 2022. And the charter flight itself was 3.3 million. Commissioners, what I want to say about this, I think there's several points to be made about this body of evidence. The first is that this isn't an ordinary private ship. This is of interest to the Commission for obvious reasons. These individuals have been, well, at least Ms. Mashazi has appeared before the Commission. Mr. Nxumalo's name has come up. And we haven't had this evidence placed before the Commission before. And it's clear that this is no ordinary private trip. While there may be no question that Mr. Nxumalo paid for this trip, there has been some question about whether it was ultimately funded by somebody else, but we don't know that yet. What we do know is that it was in the amount of 3.35 million, and that it was for a private flight for Ms. Mashazi, who was then the city manager in Ekurhuleni at this point in time. It was for her husband, and her two friends. And so we say that on its face of it, the conferral of a benefit to the tune of 3.3 million is extravagant, and it raises obvious concerns for us of a conflict of interest and of possible corruption, gratification, and abuse of public office. That's the first point I wish to make in relation to this evidence. The second is that it raises the question of disclosure. And if this trip was declared by Ms. Mashazi, we believe it wasn't. but if this trip was declared by Ms. Mashazi to the city or the council or an ethics or compliance structure within the city, then that record should exist. If it was not declared, then the failure to disclose a trip like this, as I said, it's not an ordinary trip. This is not just, an economy flight with your family to a low-budget hotel in London. Then the failure to disclose itself would be a matter of grave concern, because it would mean that a senior municipal officer accepted or was associated with a private benefit of an extraordinary value without any transparency to the public institution that she served in. So that's the second point in submission I'd like to make of concern that emerges from this evidence. The third is that the Commission would want to consider who benefited from this trip, beyond Ms. Mashazi and her husband and her friends, because a payment of 3.3 million for a weekend flight is so far outside of ordinary hospitality or gift that it invites the inference that the person who paid for it expected something in return. And the question would be, if this was a gift or gratification, what influence or protection or access was expected from Ms. Mashazi in return, in her capacity as a city manager of Ekurhuleni. The fourth submission I would make on this is that General Khan is provided with this information, and that his receipt of this itself is significant. And the question would be, what interest did he have in this information? On the face of it, it's not apparent what interest he has in receiving this information. And the fifth and final point I want to make is that the question would be not just what interest General Khan had in it, but what did he do with the information? Did he refer it to the city or to the Hawks or to the NPA? One would have expected, normally one would expect that that would be the normal course, that it would be referred to the relevant authority or something would be done with it. It would seem not, because Ms. Mashazi held her position as a city manager until last year, and this trip took place in 2022. So, she remained in a position until she retired last year. So, on the face of it, it seems that nothing was done with it, or else she would not have remained in her position.
And when did General Khan become aware of this? Because you seem to be implying that it was in 2022 when he became aware.
I'll tell you, just want to confirm the date that I was looking at. It was in October 2022, Commissioner.
Is it those chairs that we don't have?
Well, no, it's on page 6676.
Oh, yes. Thank you.
All of this information was forwarded to General Khan, including the passport pictures, which are blurred out.
Ms. Assem, it seems to me that perhaps a further question, you've listed questions, it seems to me that a further question to ask, and whether you get an answer to it is another matter altogether, is considering this is 2 days or 3 nights visit for that amount of money paid for by somebody else, at least on what is before us now. What was the purpose of the trip? And that kind of question, so I would add it in the list of what was the purpose of the trip, and maybe or not, it leads or explains an interest, what was General Khan's interest in this, but not just General Khan. Why was Mr. Syed interested in this trip? Questions that I am not suggesting we'll get answers to, but it seems valid questions to ask.
Absolutely, Commissioner Baloy. I mean, a number of questions arise, including how Mr. Syed obtained this information. We know of his relationship with Onyx Aviation, etc., and so it's not so surprising that he had the information on the immigration forms and the executive license, but the passports, I suppose it would have been all part of that bundle. But we don't know the background to it, and I'm in agreement with you, Commissioner Baloy, that would be another question. So those are my submissions on this Mashazi chapter.
A different question on that. How do you connect the invoice to this trip as per immigration documents? I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. So you've got the passports and you've got the immigration clearance documents, and then you've got the invoice, and you say that this invoice was payment for this trip. Where do we see that connection?
It's in the description. So the charter